Welcome everybody to today's live. Great that you have made it back. It was lovely to see you all yesterday. So here we are for day 2 of the quest. Yesterday we looked at how to use the power of your story, how to use the power of your story to heal the world and help your clients achieve epic, life-changing results. So this is a quest that I have brought together. We did day 1 yesterday. I will pop a copy of the replay down below this video so you can go back and watch day 1. And we're going to get it stuck into day 2 in a second. My channel is all about trauma recovery and healing. So I touch on different disciplines, different aspects of trauma and how you can recover and heal. If you like the content, do me a favor, click the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. That would really help more people see the content about how they can recover and heal from trauma. So go ahead and do that now if you haven't done it already. So today we are going to start to explore the relationship between fear and authentic leadership. And ultimately, this is to help you to get out of your own way and empower your clients to achieve epic results time and time again. If you don't know me, I'll just give you a very, very quick brief, not too much detail. So I'm Wendy Keir and I mentor women, sometimes men. I'm a motivational speaker, trauma recovery advocate, and creator of the trauma recovery method. I am an Amazon 2 times best-selling author, which is great. I've just had another book go live. And ultimately, I empower my clients to step into the spotlight, create brilliant co-authored books and personal development books that impact lives, change the world, and help them to leave a legacy in just 10 weeks or less. So these are highly motivated women. They think outside of the box. They are absolutely rule breakers. They lead the way and they become that beacon of light. They think big, they take action, and they inspire others to do exactly the same thing. So let's get into the conversation. Let's have a look at how to drop the fear and authentically lead. So here's the thing about sharing your story. So we spoke about yesterday about sharing your story and how challenging that can be if you have in your past a traumatic history. If something has happened to you, maybe child abuse, neglect, rape, domestic violence, child neglect, let's just face it, the list is pretty endless and pretty horrific. But sometimes what happens is if that trauma hasn't been dealt with, then it will impact on your everyday life today. And it absolutely will, at a deep subconscious level, produce an unconscious level of fear that you may not be aware of, which will affect your ability to be able to lead authentically. Because if those lived experiences aren't healed, they can prevent people from being fully visible, from being fully present. Those lived experiences, if left unhealed, and you haven't had any recovery or done any work around them, will actually prevent people from leading authentically. They prevent people from shining the true light of who they really are. I know so many women, and I'm sure you do as well, that you may know people who they have a tendency to get in their own way. They have a tendency not to shine the light on themselves, and they have a tendency to play small and to melt into the background. What you'll find is they will be working incredibly hard. They go from one thing to the next. They do course after course. And what happens is they in the end end up dimming their light because something has happened in their past that is preventing them from actually leading authentically, because there is fear playing out deep in the subconscious, which is interfering on their behavior. So now, what's interesting here is this is not intentional. People don't do this intentionally. It is part of the human makeup and how it deals with trauma, the impact of trauma. Ultimately, those events you've learned from, and the mind wants to keep you safe. The mind and body want to keep you safe. So these aren't things that you do consciously. These are unconscious behaviors that stop you and can sabotage your success. So they don't do this consciously. What I know to be true is that trauma from the past will absolutely impact on your ability to lead in the way that it is that you can harness your strengths to use to move forward. So leadership absolutely has not come natural to me. Absolutely not. What happens, as I said, is that trauma that you experience growing up, whether that is a child or an adult, will absolutely prevent you from showing up in your full glory. There'll be something that is playing out that is stopping them. The other thing, of course, that can be happening as well, and this is part of the same thing, is that there can naturally be a skills gap. There can naturally be a knowledge gap around what fear is holding people back, what is stopping them from authentically leading. And the two things actually go pretty much hand in hand, because if you had the knowledge around what's stopping you, you would be able to recover and heal, and then you would be able to drop the fear and lead more authentically. But as I said, the truth is leadership really did not come naturally to me. Because of the level of trauma that I have experienced in my life, it's been difficult for me to step into a space and be able to lead others. I spent years hiding behind written content, hiding behind people. I didn't like to be visible. Excuse me, looking down at the screens because I'm reading from my notes. I didn't like to even make decisions. I didn't even like to speak in front of people. Speaking in front of people would make me feel physically sick. I remember being at training events, and you know, where you're in a training event and you're sitting in a circle and they ask you, you're meant to say your name and something about yourself. I would literally be terrified of even having to say my name. The palms of my hands would sweat. It was really, really frightening. And what I didn't realize at the time was that actually wasn't natural, and that was a trauma response that was playing out. The trauma affected me so much that there was one event that I went to that I was meant to speak at, and I had a panic attack the night before I was meant to speak. Got to the hotel, got into bed, had a panic attack. I didn't actually know what was going on. I ended up sleeping in the bathtub. And then after that, I had to take 6 months off because something had been triggered in my memories that it was so painful that I actually emotionally shut down. So I know firsthand how trauma can prevent you from leading. So the question is, and it's a really important question, and I think it's a question that doesn't actually get asked enough or looked at enough. And that is, how can you tell if you are struggling with unconscious fear? Deep subconscious fear, unconscious fear. It's a really, really good question. So in my book that I mentioned earlier, Be More Wolf, this book is all about my personal story. It's about my personal story and my relationship with complex trauma. And within it, I also have at the back a process that I have used to recover and heal, which you can also use to recover and heal as well. Within it, there are 4 pillars. Within it, there are 4 pillars on page 180, on page 186. There are 4 pillars that I take people through. So the first pillar is about the relationship you have with yourself. The second pillar is about bringing conscious attention to what is actually going on in your world. Number 3 is connecting the dots between experiences it is that you have going on, so you can see life from a new perspective and a bigger picture. And the 4th pillar is about taking inspired action. But the one I want to focus on for this talk is the second pillar. It is about paying conscious attention to what is going on in your life, in your world, with your behavior, with your thoughts, your emotions. It's really about putting your daily activities under a microscope, because what this will do is it will pull out exactly what is getting in your way. You'll start to see a pattern that's emerging over the first week. If you do it in the second week, you'll see these patterns that are emerging over that period of time. This will really help you to see where the emotional blocks are, what is playing out unconsciously, so you can bring it into conscious awareness and you can start to actually do something about it. This is where you'll start to see where fear is playing out. It is an absolutely phenomenal, life-changing exercise that you can do. So let me just tell you, here we go. So the exercise I would like you to do over the next 5 days, and you can tell me about it in the chat box, you can tell me about it, send me an email, you can reach out to me and just tell me what your findings are, because it will be absolutely fascinating. So what you do throughout the day is you have a sheet of paper and you have 5 things written down on it. So the first thing you want to write down, and under each heading, you have 3 things that you've noticed. So again, we're bringing your behavior into being conscious, so you can see what's going on. It's not going to be unconscious. So the idea is, once you identify the pattern, you can start working on it. So the first thing is, what keeps you in flow? Secondly, what takes you out of flow? Thirdly, what can you do to get out of your own way? Fourthly, what can you do to put your best foot forward? And lastly, acknowledge your success. So under each heading, over 5 days, you will have 3 bullet points for each day. Now, the purpose of this exercise isn't to solve it all. It's not to think, oh, what can I do to get out of my own way? I must do that. What we're doing is we're starting to allow the brain to organize its thoughts. It's allowing you to see what's getting in your way. It's allowing you to acknowledge the good things that are happening throughout the day. So I'd really like you to do that exercise, because it will highlight and bring to your attention exactly where fear is hiding out. And once you've identified where that fear is hiding out, you can do something about it. You can follow the exercises in the book, which will help you, as I said, in the next pillar, to be able to connect the dots to see why it is you are, where that fear has come from and what to do about it. But in the context of dealing with trauma. So trauma is a very broad word for a lot of horrific things that people experience and go through. So if you've had something really bad happen in your life, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic book to pick up and read and go through the exercises to understand how trauma is impacting, creating that unconscious fear, which has come from deep in the subconscious, which is playing out, and it's going to be stopping you from authentically leading. So that is your challenge. That is your quest for today. It is to, over the next 5 days, actually jot down underneath all of those headings what's going on, because it's going to give you a really good picture as to what it is that you need to look at. And then you can start connecting the dots, and then you can start taking inspired action, and you can resolve what is getting in your way. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to be looking at how to step out of the shadows and take your visibility, impact, and authority to the next level, which is ultimately what we want. We want to grow. We want to expand, to be able to receive. We want to show up in the very best version that we can be to serve our clients. And to be able to get epic results for our clients every time, we have to dig deep to be able to get out of our own way and to see what's going on for ourselves. Because as I said yesterday, if you're not able to do that, your clients are going to remain stuck, and it's not going to be helpful for them. So you need to do the inner work. This is all about trauma healing and recovery. Is an inside out job. So it's time to spend some time standing still and actually really focusing in on what's going on within my life. What's not working for me? What's working for me? What do I need to acknowledge? What can I do to put my best foot forward? It's just allowing you to process and the brain to organize what's going on and the loops of behavior that you can potentially be stuck in. It's a brilliant, brilliant tool. I love this. It's absolutely life-changing, because once you identify one thing that's keeping you stuck, that's getting in your way, that means you're playing small, that means you can't lead authentically, once you've dealt with that, it's a bit like a dominoes effect. The next thing just dissolves and dissolves. And then you do this exercise again, maybe a couple of weeks later, and you start the process over again, and the same thing happens again. It completely transforms your life. You will be a different person by the time you have focused on this inner piece of work. It will help you to release a tremendous amount of fear that you weren't aware of. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow. It is late here in Thailand, but I really wanted to show up and get this done for you, because I think it's important. If I've made a commitment, I've made a commitment. That's just how it is in my world. So any questions, pop them below the video, and I will also put yesterday's video below as well. Remember to hit that notification bell and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you've enjoyed what it is that I've had to say. But as I said, this channel is all about trauma, managing trauma, the impact of trauma. What is trauma? How can we deal with it in our lives on a daily basis?